Hey kids, Mark Miller here. Welcome. We're here for another day of coding and design. We're going to be working in C# WPF, continuing the work that we started, that we've been working on the last couple of shows. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, where we are right now. Yesterday I ended the show right in the middle of you hit a bug, and I was like, I felt like I was kind of losing scope over the best way to solve problems, and was less than confident that I was going to write good code. And so I was like, yeah, okay, let's stop it. A little later, I went back, took a look at the code, and just made a few minor changes to it. So I'll show you where we are. It's still not awesome. It doesn't look great. Today I want to make it look great. That's one of the things I want to do. So, but we'll, and I want to make it closer to awesome today. So those are both kinds of things that I want to do. Let's start up our music. Also, I had a monitor go out today. Just decided to stop working. In fairness, it's an older monitor, but nothing is going out to it right now. And so as a result, my chat window, which is normally right there on that monitor, is now over on the other monitor now. So I've got 3/4 of the monitors I normally have. So I'm a little bit mixed up today. So here's what we have. We can click over here. Let's get into stamp mode. Here, I'll bring this down so we can see the whole thing. Here's the episode. I've got two modes in here, stamp mode and not stamp mode. When I'm in stamp mode, I should be able to click on one of these, and then you can see there it's kind of semi-transparent. I can drop it. So far, so good. Now I can click over to select mode and select it, and then I can click and move it as well to drag it and then release. So now I've got this. So it's not bad, but it's also not great. I don't like the selector around it. I've decided I want to model it after the selector in PowerPoint and other Office apps. So I want to create something that looks like this a little bit. I don't want to have the rotation piece up here, but I do want to have the scaling controls around the side. And I want to have the line around it. And if I multi-select, I want to see essentially a different selection box around each one of these. So I want to do that. The other thing I want to do is I want to use some science of good design principles on here and improve the UI. Right now, this is like kind of in the wrong place. These two need to be up here closer to the main controls that we are using. These buttons need to be up here. These buttons actually need to be close to the selection. They don't do anything until I actually have a selection. And now, instead of being over here, they should be right up here or somewhere nearby. So I kind of want to focus on that too. I'm not sure how much of this will get done today, but that's kind of where I want to go. So with that, first step is I think to come in here and let's start changing this and the look of this. We actually were borrowing some UI that we use when we do the selection. When I click and drag a tile, we just basically borrowed that exact same UI for when I click on one of these. So you can see that black outer outline and the white inner outline and the blue tint. That's what's happening in this intermediate mode until I actually make a selection. And then we have this to actually indicate the selection, which I'm okay with. What we're doing is we're de-emphasizing the rest of the map and emphasizing the area that's selected. And we have the multi-select capability, so I can do that, and I can cut holes in the selection as well. So all of that is what we've already built, but I don't like that we're reusing that UI. Here, I want to have a different UI. I want to have something that looks like this. So let's attack that first. And let's look at the code and see how we're going to change that. And part of the problem too is the code is a little bit disorganized. I think we kind of need to group things together. I'm going to use CodeRush's Code Places feature to create groups. So right now I've got a mouse handling group, and I'm going to kind of create groups to deal with this so I can kind of better organize this as this is getting, the file's getting kind of lengthy here. What are we at about? We're at about 1,600 lines of code. So I want to better organize the code, better understand it, and that's kind of the approach I'm going to take. Let's go in here. In the mouse handling, we can kind of start looking at this. We've got a mouse move, and in our mouse move, we've got some code that checks to see if we're dragging stamps. And I set this to true here. So stamp dragging is kind of a thing. And let's go over here. I want to start creating a new group. Call it stamp select, maybe. So we're going to put some of these things that have to work to do with stamp selection as well. Stamps are selected. Let's do this. I'm going to pin this out here for a while because I think I'm going to work in this space. Stamps are selected. Let's add to that group. Stop dragging stamps. That looks like it's part of it. And so the active stamp canvas. Now let's look at this. This is this thing that we're borrowing. But I want to have another one for the stamp selection, is what I want to do. I want to do essentially the same kind of technology, but I want to have two of them. So I want to create a floating stamp to take this as a parameter, I think, and I want to pass it in. So let's kind of look at everywhere this is in our code. Yeah, stop dragging stamps. This is the canvas we're going to use for dragging. The select drag canvas is what I think I want to call it. And we'll have one of those in an active stamp canvas as well. All right, so I'm going to stop running the app. Let's kill this. Let's create the second one here. So we've got an active stamp canvas and we've got a select drag stamp canvas. So we've got two of these. Stamp button click. So this is when I click on a stamp and I want to put something out there. This one we'll go ahead and keep the active stamp canvas. We'll keep this code as it is. That's totally fine with that. I also think we need some functions to like clear stamp selection is what I think we need. And I think part of that is going to look like this. So we're going to remove that stamp canvas from this piece, and I think we're also going to set it to null. And now I want to take my clear stamp selection, and I want to add to favorites stamp select again. Okay. And I'm going to drop a marker here, just to remind me to come back and take a look at this. All right, back over here to following this through. Create floating stamp. Who calls this? Create floating stamps for selection. Stamp button click. Okay, here's where we need a parameter. We need this piece to be a parameter. Can CodeRushed give us, whoops, am I hitting the right key? Yeah, I'm hoping that CodeRushed would be able to give us a promote to parameter on this. It's not. Let me introduce a local for all of them instead. And let's see if now CodeRushed can promote to parameter. No, I'm still not getting that. If I split it, will it give it to me? Yeah, it just doesn't sometimes. I don't know why it doesn't do this. Let's do this. Let me undo all this. I want to report this as a CodeRushed issue. All right, kids. I want CodeRushed to give me a promote to parameter here. I've got essentially I'm referencing a field variable. There's my field right there. And I've got it selected. I hit the CodeRushed key. I got the caret on it. I hit the CodeRushed key. I want promote to parameter here. Doesn't give it to me. I can come in and I can say introduce local for all occurrences. And look, anywhere that Visual Studio lets me introduce a local, I ought to have promote to parameter available. That's the issue right here. And so I want to call this, for example, canvas. And even here, CodeRushed won't give me promote to parameter. I can't do it. Split initialization from declaration. And here, CodeRushed won't give me promote to parameter. I want promote to parameter. I'm not sure what's going on. Is it because of any of those things before, or is it because of the fact that I've got these here? I'm not sure. Let me see what happens if I take these off. If I take the initializations off of here, do I get promote to parameter available? No, still not. Still not there. Oh, there we go. Now I got it. It looks like it's not available when I have these initialized. It should be able to get it and figure it out and put it right there. That's what I'm looking for. Promote to parameter available. Not there, but here. It should be available in both places. Okay, that's the issue. Let me just mark that as, whoops. Hold on. Put this over here in the chat room. Feature request, promote to parameter availability. Okay. So that's going to mark the issue. Oh, we got some blocked stuff. Let's keep running. Sometimes this will kill signal R, I've noticed in the past. Let's see what happens. We just had some log files locked up because I've got 3 instances.
Genisco 7, where are you? We need your help. Oh God, alright. Here, I am.
Okay, it's over the top. Genisco 7, how you doing? Oh, really? You're just ganging up on me now, guys. Come on! Nobody can see me. Pudding. Genisco 7, good to have you guys with us. How you doing? Yeah, I'm refactoring and doing some bug bashing here. Since we're already saying hi, I figure we do it right now. Retro CRT says, good afternoon, Retro CRT. Speaking of Retro CRT, I've got an old monitor on my desk. It's, I don't know, I'd say maybe 10 years old. It's rotated in the portrait position, and today it decided to no longer display anything. When I plug it in, the system says, oh, it's a monitor, but nothing's coming up. I can't even get the main menu from the hardware buttons to show up on it. So I got I'm gonna have to figure out a replacement solution to that, I think. I don't mind it because this is on my sliding walking desk and it's the heaviest monitor I've got because it's older. Yeah, it's even got old-fashioned cables, like a VGA cable coming in the back. So, so it's good time to, it's served me well, but we're gonna have to replace it. Other than that, I'm going okay. It's going okay. I'm like, I don't know. I noticed, like, you know, I'm always trying to be aware of how good my brain is for coding. You know, and I'm like, have I made mistakes today? Have I, you know, conflated one thing with another? Anything along those lines, right? Have I made assumptions and they were incorrect on just anything? Like this morning, my son walks in the room and, you know, I'm talking to him and he's not responding. And, you know, I walk in the back of the room, I walk back out and I'm like, why aren't you responding? And it's my daughter, not my son. And it's like, you know, it was one of those things where my son had walked out, they're about the same height. You know, she was wearing blue. He normally he had a blue shirt on. And I had just, you know, wasn't even in my peripheral vision. I'd conflated one for the other. And I was like, am I going to have a good coding day today or not? Are we going to make mistakes? And I was like, be careful. And I think something else happened. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, be careful. So the music is great right here. Janisco7 says from aliens to pudding. So that's how it is for me. How are you guys doing? Retro CRT, haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're here. Every time I see you show up, I'm thinking, ooh, fanfare for Retro CRT. I got to think about something interesting for that guy or girl. Let me know. All right, so here we are. Create floating stamp. All right, so let's go back. We reported that issue. Let's go back to this and this. I'm going to manually promote the parameter. And we're going to do this and pop it in right there at the very beginning. And get rid of that. And then for selection, not here, not this one. We're going to change this in a second. This is the right one. It's just on the clipboard. I want to put that in there. Okay, this is the one we're going to change. We're going to change it to this one. Create floating stamp for the select drag stamp canvas. Okay. And to do figure out X and Y. Retro CRT had the flu over the holidays. Oh no, that sounds horrible. Just kept a low profile everywhere. Healthy again now. Well, that's good. Glad to hear that, Retro CRT. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I hate that. I'm like hate getting like taken out for some sort of health reason, right? You're just like, come on. So here we got to figure out the X and Y. So if I have a selection, I'm creating a canvas and I'm putting these elements on the canvas. I need them to be essentially, I need the canvas to be as big enough to hold them all, which I think it will be automatically, but I got to figure out the X and Y's of everything relative to the canvas, which means I got to figure out the X and Y relative to the top left of every element in the selection. I almost need to, I'll at the very least put a note here, figure out top left of selection. Left of selection, and then figure out X and Y relative to top left of selection. And I got to do something else relative. I got to do the mouse relativity too. I've got to figure out where does the mouse click when I finally go to move that relative to, I think, the top left of the canvas, and then make sure that all works. Because right now, I'm not sure if I can run it yet because we're kind of in a broken state here. Let's keep going through and we'll get unbroken, and I'll run it and I'll show you the problems with the mouse dragging. Okay, so when the stamp button click is there, we're going to go clear that and create floating stamp on that. And now when we bring this in here, canvas is null, cool. We're going to put that in there right there. The canvas, because it's floating, is going to be automatically adjusted based on the mouse moves. So that should work. That part should work. So let's keep going. Looking. So mouse move. Okay. All right, I kind of want to refactor this is what I want to do. And I'm pretty sure Visual Studio is not going to be okay with an extract method on this. So let's just go ahead and say new method. We'll call this drag canvas, I think. Paste in that code that we had. And looks like it. Okay, there's the E's not working, so we need to pass in the E on it. Looks like I got a bug. Alt Home is not dropping a marker. Why is that? Kids, I've got a weird thing happening here. Alt Home is not dropping a marker for me in this file. Alt Home, whoa, it does there, but not here? Is it because I'm in virtual space? Yeah, I just added a space. I'm not sure if that's a bug or not, but nothing was happening. I kept hitting it and nothing was happening. I think I'm going to call that a bug. And I want you guys to, if we're in that scenario where I'm in virtual space trying to drop a marker, what was happening with that? Yeah, like right here. So I'm hitting Alt Home a bunch of times. Hold on. Let me just emphasize that I'm doing this. Alt Home, Alt Home, Alt Home. Nothing's happening, right? I'm hitting a bunch of times. It's not there. Escape, escape. Let's come back over here again. Alt Home, on Home, on Home, on Home, Alt Home, escape. Yeah, it's not even putting a marker down here. If I'm in virtual space dropping a marker and nothing is happening, I can't actually drop a marker. Look at this. It's even telling me right here that I'm dropping a marker, but I'm not. Then we got to drop a marker at the next closest spot, right? Find it where I can and drop it. That's where the marker needs to go. So if I'm here, drop it there. That's the bug, or that's the, yeah, I guess that's the bug. So let's report that as a bug. Dropping markers in virtual space. And for folks who don't know, we are, and yeah, we're going to get these. We're going to get 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. And speaking of which, let's see how our signal are still working. Looks like it's still working. Okay. All right. Close that down. All right, got the marker here. Wanted to get back up in here. I think I need to get that on the clipboard again. Mouse event args. And then we also want to send a canvas to it like this. So now it looks like this: active stamp canvas, comma, E, mouse args, like that. And then we return. That drags the canvas. Whoops, wrong way. I think I just want to reorder those parameters. Do that instead. Okay. And then I want to come down here and say, well, look, if I've got the active stamp canvas and I've got this other friend there, the select drag stamp canvas, then we're going to do that. Okay, let's continue our search for active stamp canvas. Where else are we messing with it? Stop dragging stamps. Okay, this is, it's one of our favorites we just added. This is really a call to clear stamp selection. And I think it's fair that we don't really need to specify which canvas we're putting in there. Select drag stamp canvas. No promote to parameter here either. All right, let's do it again. Protopoly.com says hi. Protopoly.com. Glad to have you with us. We're writing code in C# and we are debugging a map editor for Dungeons and Dragons. Actually refactoring it right now, but I'm also dogfooding CodeRushed, which is a tool add-in for Visual Studio that we make at DevExpress. And I'm reporting a bug right now that we just found in it. The bug is that promote to parameter is not available here. Yeah, right in here, I want to promote to parameter for active stamp canvas. What I'm looking for is something that changes this code from here to this. Like that. That's what I'm looking for. Then I can come in and rename it, do whatever like that. But I wanted promote to parameter available there, and it wasn't available on that code. There we go. All right. Okay, so clear stamp selection. Do you wear those braces for carpal tunnel? Yeah, Zora, to prevent carpal tunnel. I wear them. So here we go. Clear. Oh, I kind of did this in the wrong spot. I didn't want it here. I wanted it here. Then I wanted this, like that. Then I wanted this here. And then I wanted to ref this in here. So yeah, I use it preventatively. Although I think it's fair to say that if I were to write code without these, I'd be in pain after a short period of time. So maybe I do have carpal tunnel. But I have been wearing these for probably about 20 years. I've been wearing braces like this because as of at least easily 20 years ago, I used to code all the time. I used to write code like maybe on average 12 hours every day of the year. And I knew that it was not going to be good if I didn't do anything that was protective. So I wear these on a regular basis, and as long as I got them on, I'm fine. So yeah, that's what I do. All right, so clear canvas. We're going to do this. I'm not sure. I don't feel comfortable with this. I got kind of an uneasy feeling about this right here. Clear stamp selection is clearing both. And I think maybe I want to specifically clear them. Choose which one. Like, for example, stop dragging stamps is only called if I'm dragging the stamps, which is only going to be one particular kind. But what's going to happen when we call clear stamp selection is it's going to try to first remove the drag stamp canvas, but also the active stamp canvas, which is a different one used to drop actual stamps down onto it versus one used to drag. I'll show you what I mean in a minute when we run this. Let's continue searching through this since we're refactoring and doing this split of logic here between the two. This is when we're dropping one. No, not anymore. I'm not hardcore 12 hours a day now. Now I'm doing about 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and whatever I can get in over the weekend that doesn't make the family feel like they're not loved. And so, you know, maybe like about 4 to 8 hours over the weekend, depending on the weekend, I'll throw in. So, but I used to be hardcore. I used to do it all the time. And to be honest, I think if I did not have, you know, a family to take care of, I wasn't taking care of the family as well, I would probably be doing way more. I would certainly be pushing the limits. I'm on the autistic spectrum, so doing the same thing over and over again I'm totally happy to do that. I remember when I was younger, people would say, don't work so hard, you're going to burn out. And I've never really burned out because it's fun for me. It's what I love to do, right? I live for it. So, right, there's, you know, so if you're having fun, do it. That's what I say. As long as you're not hurting anybody, have fun. So let's see. Create floating stamps for selection. All right. Active stamp canvas. So if we're going to create floating stamps for the selection, I mean, we've just selected, we want to clear selection, clear canvas, and active stamp canvas is what I want to do. Because I don't want that thing anymore. I think it's ref. All right. Figure out top left. Oh, so okay, so we still, and then I think I also want to do a clear canvas for for the other buddy right here, the select drag stamp canvas. Like that. I want to clear them both. So I guess I can just call clear the other clear function now that I think about it. It's clear stamp selection. Is that what it is? Is that what we called it? Let's double check, take a peek. Yep, that's it. Okay. All right. So create floating stamp. This part we're going to need to do these to-dos in a second here. What else do we have? Mouse move. Okay, you know, we've done this already. So we've got this, and then we've got a similar piece right here. So that's good. Okay. Just checking, somebody's Skyping me right now. Hold on, it does not look super serious. Really? We'll bring it up. I'm skeptical. Visual cortex? With your visual attention. Yeah, visual attention. I think it's eye tracking. Is that what it is? Or is it? No. Yeah, I've tried these before and they generally do not work well. Yeah, I'm skeptical like crazy at this point. All right, so maybe it's got a sense of saying, I'm looking at something and I have focus on it. I'm also very worried about the word focalize here. Provide an internal focus. Yeah, I'm like not sure that's right. Also, I'm worried about this sentence right here. We decode the output of the intention, which I think that just means they decode a sense that there's an intention made. Is it math skills helpful in that programming society? Is the question. Hold on a second. Yeah, I think logic skills are more important than math skills. We're going to have to do a little bit of math today, but most of the math I encounter in programming is like pretty simple math, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, things like that. The logic skills allow you to figure out what is subtracted from what. So I think logic skills make way more sense. And I, you know, sometimes I'll go after a problem, you know, using brute force and ignorance. That's what I'll do. I'll use brute force and ignorance, and the more ignorance I use and the more brute force, generally the not so great the results. And so logic will sometimes save me from really bad results. So I think logic skills are better. That said, one of my favorite math courses that actually teaches you logic skills, find a math course in proofs, in proving things, right? When I took it, I was essentially in college and I took it for the first time. It's the best math course of my life. And challenges were like, here's a problem. You've got three choices. Prove it's true, prove the assertion is false, or prove that the assertion cannot be proven, right? So it's like, it's a whole different way of thinking of things. And for me, it totally expanded my mind and brought a whole new language for addressing problems. So I really appreciated that course. One of my absolute favorites. Yeah, logic. Also Boolean logic, right? Courses on Boolean logic, things like that, right? You learn that already in programming, I think. Yeah. So I think math skills are helpful. If your mind's already able to wrap around math, the cool thing about that is you've kind of already learned a lot about programming by learning math, right? Because you're learning a symbolic language, a language for representing thought and ideas. Programming languages are similar, right? So, all right. Yeah, so I'm really worried. At this point, I've read this far into it, and I still don't have a strong sense that it's anything beyond an EKG or an ECG on the back. I've seen demos in the past, and I've been convinced the demos were essentially faked, is what I've been convinced, because I've tried to duplicate the demos using the actual device and was not able to do it. Not with this one, but with others that I think are using similar technology. So, so I'm a little bit looking for something more than this. Yeah, I'm worried all the way across. I'm worried. All right, I'll look at a demo of this later. I won't make anybody watch this. But if you're interested in this as well, I'll put the link out to it right here. You can take a look at that. For anybody coming in just now, this is just a link that a coworker sent me just now because they know I'm into, stuff like this. I wanted to have my skull opened up and have one of these devices directly implanted, but Richard Campbell said don't do that because once you destroy the structural integrity of the skull, you have all sorts of health risks that come in after that. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. Also, my wife was like, no, you cannot get an implant in your head. But I'm totally ready for it. Elon Musk, if you're watching, I'm ready for your neural net injection. Totally ready for that. We're gonna get that thing going. I'll be coding like this. But until then, let's keep looking through for my active step canvas. We're coding by hand here on edit mode change. Okay, this is when we change from stamp mode to select mode and back and forth. Let's refactor these because they're getting kind of heavy. Enter stamp mode, stamp drop mode. So drop mode is the right word. Stamp mode, enter stamp mode, I guess is what I'll call it. And then we'll call this enter select mode over here. Refactor this, enter select mode like this. All right, so in enter stamp mode, we're doing this. Okay, now I want to do this. I want to refactor that, extract that into its own method, and we're going to call this move floating canvases to top, like that. Duplicate this, and good. Everything's good there. That was CodeRush's duplicate selection there that just figured out that I wanted to go from here to here. Well, didn't figure out, guessed it. Okay, where else are we here? Have we gone full circle? I think we've gone full circle, which means we got a shot of this working when we run. Yep. I think it's going to work. Oh, wait, here we go. We got one more here I missed. This one is clear, a call to clear stamp selection, like that. I'm not sure I want this, change this to clear floating canvases. I think I like that better. Okay, let's see if it works. So we should have no functional differences here after this refactoring. Yeah, I'm really looking for with regard to that next, you know, this thing, I'm looking for something way better. I'm looking for something that really allows me to get inside and think. That's what I want. And I don't think you're going to get anything from an external that's going to be close to what you can get if you go inside. All right, so let's see. Can I drop? Whoops, let's click over here. Can I click on a shield? Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, I can. Click, but I'm not seeing it float. It's right up here. Notice, look at that. It's right there. It's not moving with the mouse moves. So why is that? Oops, mouse, move. Am I even getting here? Click, no, click. Not even getting a mouse move. Do you make your own models? No. Major Poker is out there. And no, I do not. These, if you're talking about the assets here, no, I got these from Dungeon Arts. That's what I got them from. Let's go do a search for that, make sure that's correct information. I'm pretty sure that's where I got these. Dungeon Arts, there it is, right there. So I licensed these from Dungeon Arts. It was about $30 to get their combo right up here. This is it right here, Elements Bundle. It just had all of these different dungeon elements in here, pits and traps, all kinds of things like that. And so that I can come in here and I can say, here, go to my traps. Let's go click on this. And yeah, it's not moving. I want to fix that, but I should be able to click there and drop a trap right there. So there it is. Kind of neat stuff. I used the shield in my first game. Cool. Yeah. So, all right. So let's see. We need to figure out why the dragging's not working. Let's see what's going on here. I got my mouse move. So active stamp canvas is null? Let's double check this. Create floating stamp. This is when we should create it. That's when we should create a new one of it. Let's click on here. Okay, create floating stamp. Oh, I know what's happening. This should be a ref. This should totally be a ref. That's my problem. Okay, stop the app. This needs to be a ref. It needs to be a ref. Create floating stamp. This needs to be a ref. That should fix it. Okay, run. By the way, we're going to have Rory Becker. We expect to see Rory Becker join us in about 18 minutes from the UK. Rory's my good buddy, and we partner on the show. And he's the voice of reason. Mine is the voice of, I guess, insanity. Here we go. We're a little crazy. All right, looks like we're good there. Let's run it. There we go. So now we got the drag. Good. Now let's switch to select mode. Click on it. Now click and drag it. Okay, good. Now let's start showing the problems with the click and drag. Let's come back. Let's drop a bigger thing in here. Let's go to, let's drop one of these giant traps down here like this. And now go to select mode, and I'll show you what I mean. If I click down here in the bottom right corner and I start to move it, notice what happens. It immediately jumps. The first problem we have is that the floating piece jumps so that it's centered around the mouse, because we haven't written any code to do anything else, right? So we're centering it. And then watch, if I say I want to put it right here and I let go of it, it's as if I dragged just the corner to there, right? So it's not lining up. So what I need to do is it does understand, here's the thing, it does understand the deltas. So if I click on the upper left and I move it down just a little bit and let go, it does understand the delta correctly. So the moving and placement is okay. It's just this floating, what it shows when it's floating is wrong. So I should probably fix that now. But I think I'm not going to. I think what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to fix that when Rory gets here. Instead, between now and when Rory arrives, I'm going to try and implement this right here. this is what I want the selection to look like. I want it to have these circles right here. Here, let me zoom in using this technique. I want the circles here, here, there, and there. I don't think I'm going to do these two. But I am going to, here, hold on a second. But I am going to do this. This is my idea. Let's grab this, copy to the clipboard, paste it, group it, do that. Hold on, I want to take this inner one, shape, outline, no outline. I'm looking for something. Let me bring the other one over here. I'm looking for a UI kind of like this when I select this. So only when I select it. So it'll be outside the selection handles. I'm looking for this kind of a thing here. So when I select it, I can rotate like this, like that. The other piece that I want to do is I want to have my flip buttons too, horizontal and vertical. I would like to be able to flip horizontally and vertically as well. So I could model these after what we've got in here, do that kind of flipping triangle thing. Cut that and duplicate that, and then flip it that way like this. Let's see. And actually, let's switch over here to some action instead. And so kind of like the UI for that might look like this. Actually, I want a different fill here. Maybe like that. Here's my button for that. Let's group these together. Let's turn off their outline. Let's shrink them down so they fit. Bring them to the front. So it's my flip horizontal button, like that. And then I'd have my flip vertical button, maybe like this. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right there. So I want to basically, I want to surround the thing with buttons is what I want to do. So I don't have to move the mouse so far. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. When I have one selected, I want these buttons to appear. When I deselect, I want them to go away. So those are the buttons I'm looking for right there. It's kind of cool. I think these are too close to the edge here. Hold on, let's ungroup a sec. Bring these in a little bit. There we go. Group them. Wherever that center point is of the image, that should show up. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right there. That's the UI I want. That's going to mean the mouse moves are much shorter, right, to get to the pieces I want if I want to rotate them or if I want to flip. That's what I want to do. So first, I want to create this UI here. So let's figure that out. Select drag canvas. Drag canvas. So all this is doing is just moving it. The stamp mouse offset X and Y actually, we might be able to fix that problem here early and fast here. Create floating stamp. I think these are in the wrong spot. Create floating stamp. Stamps are selected. Move selected stamps. Yeah, that's in the wrong spot for sure. Stop dragging stamps. Dragging stamps, where do we set this to true? Create floating stamps for selection. Wait, is that the only place we set this to true? That is, create floating stamps for selection. Stamps are selected. It's coming from move selected stamps. Wait, do we have kind of some circular logic here? Oh, this actually places them. Yeah, this actually does the move. Stop dragging stamps. Okay, we're okay. So I think that we're setting dragging stamps true to the wrong spot is what I think. Create floating stamps for selection is called when stamps are selected. This is where it happens right here. And so I really think, let's drop a marker here. Let's go back to where we were. Here. Let's get an edit and continue point here. Okay. Now hit escape to jump back to where we were. I think I got to wait till I get out of here to make this change because I'm inside this in the call stack here. So I got to get out of that before I can come in and do this. Okay, dragging stamps is true. Now at this point, I want to go in and grab that code. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted to go here. Yeah, this is based on the image. It's a little tricky because the create floating stamp, I feel like I need to, let me close, I'm going to shut down the app a second because I want to rename this. I want to call this last image, last stamp, half width. It's like last stamp selected or clicked. It's kind of like that. It's like last stamp added, half width, last stamp, half width. I'm just going to do this for now. And half height, like that. So now renamed both of these. So now when we drag the canvas, we're subtracting the last stamp's half width or half height. But that's not really what we want to subtract. We want to subtract, you got a noob question, go Pudding. I've been recently assigned a small project for handling several other pieces of software. An SMOL project? I don't know what that is. Looking it up. Not sure if that's a typo or if that's just my... That may be SMOL. All it does is monitor them and make sure everything runs correctly. So I think it's SMALL is what you mean, the small, like tiny project. All it does is monitor them and make sure everything runs correctly. Okay. How should I tackle this? You want to make sure you're going to create a software that's going to run other software and verify that they are running correctly. Is how I understand it. Is this on Windows? And are the other pieces of software that you're running, are they executables? Yeah, that's essentially what you have to do, Pudding. So Pudding says, my idea was to assign a thread to each other process and ask them about their current state once in a while. Yeah. So what I would do, though, is more than a thread is I would create a separate DLL. That's your communication DLL. And I would have all three of those pieces of software, or whatever those other pieces of software are, the count of those, I would have all of those build against that DLL, include that DLL in their build. And your DLL is super simple, and you've got two versions of that DLL. You've got a VDLL that is active and allows you to communicate with it, and another one that's essentially dead. That the API is still there, but doesn't do anything, doesn't allow external communication. And the benefit of that is that you can now ship those other apps if you need to, with essentially the dead version of the DLL or the inability to communicate. Or you might have that might be a concern. That might be one way to implement the concern. The other way you might implement the concern is with some sort of switch. It depends on what the security level is on these pieces of software, right? If you have security concerns, because what essentially we're talking about is opening up software for remote control, or at the very least, remote inquisition, right? Asking a question. And then I would consider using a general kind of way of communication. For example, JSON, right? For sending the data back and forth. So you're going to ask the question, you're going to say, you're going to ask us a JSON question, how's your status? And in that, your JSON object that you're going to send in is going to have a property that's going to define the question. And it's going to have a place for data. And then each of the individual pieces are going to that hook into this are going to listen for that sound, listen for the message coming in. When it comes in, they're going to look at the question. The question is going to be, what's the status here, or whatever that question is. Then they're going to fill in the data with their custom data, serialize it out to JSON again, send it out to you. And now that'll come across to you. And then I would you consider using SignalR to communicate actually across all of these. That might be a way to do it. They're on a single computer without external interaction. Okay. So yeah, you can do that. Those are ways to do that. But I think architecturally, dividing into a separate DLL that has the communication and having each individual piece of software build against that, I think is the way to go. It's just that these guys have a million synchronization issues, and I want this new code to reset those other executables if it realizes they've crashed. Yeah, I think you can do that. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? That ability to do it. Or like restart the whole process if they all work, reset the whole process they all work for if it gets stuck. Yeah. It's kind of a brute force technique. Yeah, I would run down that path. I would communicate. I like the reason I like communicating via JSON is because it's easy to debug. You can look at it. It's relatively human readable. Now I feel like I'm not charging them enough. Yeah, I had a friend who worked on a contract to solve a problem that these guys had. Took them months and they couldn't fix it. And he came in and he negotiated a rate, $30,000 flat rate to solve the problem. They agreed, they signed the contract. He sat down and in 6 hours he fixed the problem. And he said, okay, now pay me up. And they were like, you just fixed that in 6 hours. We're not going to pay you $30,000 for that. And he said, we signed a contract. You guys couldn't fix it. the contract was a fixed amount, and they were like, and they had to pay. They paid $30,000 for 6 hours worth of work. Yeah, always good to advocate for yourself, kids. Advocate for what you're worth, right? Fight for what you're worth, because you're worth it, right? This is my self-help guru show, kids. Yeah, definitely. If you have a feeling you're not charging them enough, then you're not charging them enough. Let's put it that way. Okay. Yeah. Thought it'd be easier than it is. You might be able to find. A way to. Here's the thing. I would make it super, super easy. You've got to make it super easy. But if you negotiate a flat rate, that's super tough, right? And if you negotiate a flat rate and you don't know how much work it's going to take, that's a high risk scenario. So you might, I don't know if you can back out of the contract, but you might back out of the contract, take no money, and say, look, sorry, after researching, this is going to take way more. And if it sounds like you haven't maybe started yet, so I would say, look, after researching, it's going to cost more than I thought. So we can either back out now, and you can find somebody else, or we can renegotiate, that sort of thing. But I would look at there are a number of solutions to communicating across processes in Windows that are out there available to you. SignalR is one of them. I kind of like it because I've been using it recently with the stuff I've been building here, and it's it's built in to deal with JSON, so to send stuff across. You might build a standalone spike using only SignalR. My guess is you could probably get that thing working, I don't know, in easily a day, maybe in a couple hours, and take a look at the spike and take a look at it, and then go back and take a look at what their demands are, what kind of communication you're really going to need in terms of, how do I ask the question, are you okay or not? What does that look like, right? Does each app have a different way of telling you it's okay? Does each data require a different set of analysis? And look at that. That's what I would do. And if you want to spend more time to negotiate this, right, to look at the spike, I can do socket communication as well. Yeah, do what you know, right? If you're talking about doing this quickly. But yeah, I think those are the rules of thumb. Always advocate for yourself. If you think you're undercharging, then you're undercharging. You are. Maybe I should have asked before. Don't worry, Pudding. We'll get there. We'll all get there. Look who's calling.
Hello.
Hey, Roy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. I've been lurking in the stream here, listening to, say, 20 minutes worth of the show.
Oh, yeah?
You've got a great show going on today. You've
Oh.
got questions about learning and maths, which is good logic, and now Pudding's awesome questions.
All
I
right,
love
cool.
it. This
Cool.
is great stuff.
Well, good. I got a broken monitor today I'm dealing with. Can you believe it? I'm like,
No.
yeah, it's like the monitors today just said, you know what? I'm an old lady. I'm an old man. I'm an old person monitor. And so it did that. I'm going to share my application window with you so that you can also hear my sounds. Rory, my system sounds.
Hey, indeed.
And I'm refactoring. I'm right now trying to do a drag where we calculate the correct X offset for what we're dragging based on how far to the known stamp position that we were grabbing from. So I almost want to do, I think, even, where's the X and Y coming in? The X and Y is coming in create floating stamp. Not there, active known canvas. Okay. So stamp button click, we did there. Here, I've got this to do, figure out X and Y relative to the top of the selection. Should I do that first? Pudding's awesome questions. That sounds like a great section name. It's time for Pudding's awesome questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see let's Create floating stamps for selection. I want to rename this.
That's not right. Add select stamps.
Thanks.
There we go. Excuse me.
No worries. Collapse. Wall controls. Or flooring controls. Collapse flooring controls. Stamps are selected. Add selected stamps to floating selection. Let me change this to floating UI. I don't know. I may rename this method more times. I'm not sure.
Since you're in the mood for sort of refactoring and renaming and adding of clarity and stuff, can I ask you about stamps are selected as a method name? Because to me that always sounds like a question, which implies an answer, but it's a void proc.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, hold on. We'll change that too.
I'm not 100% sure what it should be. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There we go.
All right, show selection.
OCD. This feels relieved.
Yeah.
Bennett is in the house.
He too has awesome questions. They might not have all answers. They may not all have answers and are definitely not as sweet as the puddings. Here's one. Why doesn't everyone have a Rory?
Wow, Will Bennett steps it up and has contextually relevant introduction from like the last 3 minutes.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Because he's awesome.
Will Bennett rocks.
That's why. Will Bennett, glad to have you with us, buddy. It's not a show unless Will's here.
Hey, Will.
Okay, so that's a cool question. I want to change some stuff here, a little bit around. I got this rubber band outside selector, inside selector. Here, let me see if I can run this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I want to change the selector on this, I think. Where's my run? Where's the app? Here it comes. Okay. Got some performance, a little bit slow down. All right, we're good. This right here, this selector. When I select this, right, I've got a black outline, a white inner border, and a blue tint. That's what I'm using when I drop one of these on here. Can't drop it because I got to switch over here. Sorry, hold on. Can I drop it now? There it is. When I got one on there, and then I go click it. Okay, so that's what I have.
Reusing the same rubber banding selection.
Yeah, I don't like it. I want to change it to look like this right here. This.
Okay.
By the way, I don't know if you saw this, if you were lurking when I did this, but this is what I want to do. When I select an image, I want to have my left rotate button, my right rotate button, my
Inline controls.
yeah, flip vertically and my flip horizontally to be around it like this.
Nice.
That's what I want to do. So so let's work on getting this here. I want to have this here done first, though. I want to get this UI, like something like that, a rectangle around it and these circles, or at least maybe
midpoints and corners. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want the corners, not the, I want 1, 2, 3, and then the other one down, these down here, these two down here, right there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So with that, I need to go look at this. Let's go ahead and close the app down. Let's see what it takes to build that. Am I at a breakpoint? I'm at a breakpoint. Let's just kill it. All right, show selection rubber band. Look at this. I've got this bit of code here. Hold on, I'm going to close this down so I should got my code here available. These two lines of code are the same. It's in the other place we just were. Hold on. Here. Wait. They're in this. Mm-hmm. That's these two. Right? So let's go back to where we were. Right? Okay, update stamp selection. Show selection rubber band. I think I want something like this now. Hold on, let's double check to make sure this is only called from this location. Perfect, okay. So if, I forget the names of these fields. They're somewhere close by, I think. I feel like I could just jump down to the code and I would see the code. It's the canvases here. Let's just do this. Canvas. Active stamp canvas. Okay. So now what I want to say, if the active stamp canvas is not null, that means we're going to stamp. We're going to drop a stamp down here. Otherwise, I want to show a different one, right? Whatever that's going to be. I'm going to create something new here.
So you're planning to call this routine both from the, excuse me, the stamp selection perspective, but also the tile selection.
Yeah,
so that decision is to try and work out
which one.
Of the two we're coming from.
Yeah. So this is going to be show. Oh, wait. Actually, no. Active stamp canvas is not ever going to be true. We're actually, hold on. Let's look at this one more time. Where's this called from? Update stamp selection changed. This is where we draw it when we're selecting a tile. Pretty sure about that. But update stamp selection is a different thing. I don't want to do that there. I was reusing code yesterday and I ended up not liking it. So let me keep this the way it is. Because actually we don't need any of this here. This is all okay. I only want this called from one place. Is ultimately what I want. Update stamp selection, show stamp selection UI. That's what I want. Like this. All right, so let's create this. All right, I like writing new code more than refactoring old code, especially if the old code is poorly written. All right, so now we have this thing out there called selected stamps. Like that. Nope, it's this one. I want to do a for each because multiple select looks like this, right? Where I have one around this object, one around that object, right? So I've got, see what's happening here, Roy? I've got a different rectangle around each one. So I want to add a rectangle for each one of those. And then we're going to say add selection rect UI for, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do this. I'll do that. And let's declare that. Pudding says this is pretty cool. Okay, cool. If you say so, it's cool. All right, now, we need a canvas that we're going to put this on. We know the canvas. We do know it. It is the, what is it? Canvas. Can I get it here? Active stamp canvas. It's not that one, but it's the one right next to it. Declared right next. Select drag stamp canvas. Remember that, Rory.
Yep.
This is the one I'm forgetting a lot.
Okay.
Are these things? All these things are going to be used only by the DM, right? Yeah. It's going to be used by anybody who's designing the dungeon. So we're creating a tool to help us design the dungeon. Then we're going to do the signal R hookup, where as we zoom in, it's going to send just that zoomed in picture across for display on the stream. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. So. Okay, so this is the canvas we need to add the pieces to. Get out of here. Get no tricks today. Just go. Go, Jetsam. Welcome, Jetsam. Glad to have you with us, buddy. Welcome, friends. Welcome, friends. How you doing, Jetsam? How are you doing, Roy? Anything else exciting happening over there? You're always good.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm trying to nurse a bit of a cough, which is
oh, yeah?
so great. But hey,
you know, actually, good. What did you say?
I was gonna say, apply the right legitimate medicines, and then things tend to ease a bit. So not too bad.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, cough is one of those things where you can actually the medicines for cough are actually pretty, relatively decent choices, right?
We had a discussion here in the office, and it was, as far as we can tell, there's nothing to fix it, but there are things to soothe it rather well, and it tends to do its course in about 2 weeks, something like that.
Oh no,
so as
that's
long
a
as
long
you can,
time.
Keep things at bay for a little while.
Well, stop talking, Rory. Stop talking. Do more lurking. All right, so we need to add this on to the canvas. All right?
Yes.
This canvas, all right, we need to start figuring out. Well, let's handle one stamp at the very least for now. And then we'll add two, because we're going to have problems once we have two stamps in the canvas, because they're going to be here and here, and we're going to need to draw, around them. We need to know the relative X and Y. I had sometimes, I don't know if this ever happens to you, Rory, but I have other like parallel processes in my head that, solve problems. Sometimes it happens to me in a dream. This actually happened to me not in a dream, but it's like, voices in your head. They tell you, declare a method, burn down the house, that kind of thing. And you just try to choose which voices to listen to. And this voice said to me that my stamp is going to have two additional properties. And I'm going to declare them now. I'll show you what it said to me. It said relative X in selection kind of thing.
Okay.
It's kind of, this is its relative position in that canvas. Relative X. And it's got a relative Y. It told me to put the data here, is what it told me to do. And I'm like, okay. So I'm going to add those now, relative X and relative Y. Then we got the stamp coming in. Now it's going to know where to put itself, where its relative X and Y are. And we know its width too. So we're going to say like stamp dot, what is it? Image source, image dot source dot width. Wait, don't I have a width on here though? I do. I already have a stamp width, and I've got a stamp height kind of thing. So that's going to give us all the pieces I think we need. So to do this, let's just start by creating a rectangle. So I'm going to say new rectangle, like that. And we're going to call this the, I don't know what I'm going to call it. Just call it rectangle. Maybe I'll call it selection rect. All right, there's my selection rect. Selection rect dot width is equal to stamp dot width. Selection rect dot height is equal to stamp dot height. Cool. Then we're going to say selection rect dot. Then we're going to say canvas.setLeft. The selection rect, and the left position is going to be stamp.relative x. Okay. Yeah, look at my dream. I think it was my daydream. It came in. I swear, Rory, and what I mean by this is I was doing something else, and then all of a sudden it said, "Do this." Declare.
I do like it. Where there's that part of your brain that's clearly been off processing a problem on its own without letting you know, and it kind of pops back with the answer and goes, "The answer is this," and you're like, "Hang on, to what problem?"
Yeah, I know.
That one. Okay, fair enough.
I know.
Good.
That's what I'm doing.
Find out where to store it.
I know. I'm like, okay. All right, let's do it. So we're going to add selection rect. Really? Come on. There it is right there. I really want, you know how, this is like a message to Dustin on the Visual Studio team. I really, really want, look, if it's close by, look, I got selection rect right there. It's a type rectangle. It's a UI element descended. For goodness sakes, get it to me right up there in the top. You should be able to get that for me.
Like those favorites that you get occasionally.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make this a CodeRushed feature suggestion. Is what I'm gonna do. Let's do an issue start right here. Okay, kids. Here's the deal. I come in here like this. Let's just do this. I type in SE. Here, let's do this. I'm here. I type in SE. Look. At this point, what I want is selection rect, but it's like way down here. It's down here. And I'm going to have to be forced to type in selection R to even get to there, right? Or I guess I could type in shift uppercase R right there. But wait, oh, I don't know. Wait, why is it here instead of there? Why did that jump? Is that a bug? Oh, it's got SER. I see it. I'm going to call it, because that starts with serializable, but because I did a shift R, it should have given me this. If I do just a lowercase r, yeah, it gets closer. I don't know. Is this an issue or not? Basically what I'm suggesting, I'm wanting this to give it to me higher up here. I want this to give this to me as a kind of a favorited, smarter one. Because it's the right type, because it's close in scope, I want it to be right there so I don't have to work so hard to get to it. I want it to be there, and that's my feature request. So anyway, let's see. Let's put that in there. The feature request is there, and I don't need any log files for the feature request. I just need smarter, what are we going to call this? IntelliSense sense suggestions. There it is right there. Okay, feature request submitted.
Now that you've submitted that and it's too late, can I ask a question about that feature?
Sure.
If you want to bring something more in focus, i.e. you want to bring something that is not the most obvious thing, closer to where you are, you want to prompt you with the sensible thing, okay? To make something more obvious, don't you have to make other things less obvious to some extent, or relatively so? So, for example, if the item you were after, that is of exactly the right type, is off screen as far as the scrolling items in your IntelliSense, do you not have to naturally move the scroll bar to that and thus hide other things?
Yeah, what I wanted is I want it up on screen. I want it up close. So sometimes when you're doing this, when IntelliSense comes up, there's some start items up at the top, right?
Yeah,
I think they call it IntelliCode or something like that is what I think they call it. And Dustin worked on that on the Visual Studio team.
I'm seeing things with stars next to them, favorites almost.
Yeah. And so, basically I'm just looking I want it to be right up there, closer to where whatever the one suggested is. Yeah, I still find that I'm working way too hard to get things that it should be smarter about figuring out getting. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So here's my rectangle. I need to show the rectangle somehow. So I'm going to say what is it? Stroke is equal to new, what is it? Solid color brush. Colors dot red. I don't know. Let's see if we can get something to show here. And I think I've got a stroke thickness as well. I think that's just like a number. And so we've set its width and height. It's always going to be 0. We haven't set these yet, but we're going to use those for the stamp. And I don't know, let's try running it. See what happens. If we multi-select, we're going to get a bunch up at 0, 0 of different sizes, a bunch of rects, if this works. I'm adding it to the canvas. That may be enough. I think I also have to make sure its Z order is at the very top. I can hear Karen laughing downstairs. All right, let's see what's happening here. Okay, give me a shield, drop it in, select it. Got a breakpoint here. Looks like nothing is absolutely happening. Oh, look at that on the drag though. So it's there for the drag. Yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. It's not there for